it was a huge burden to carry the regret and the remorse and the shame for what I had done to violate our marriage. And I was so grateful, Bob, for the men that came and spoke into your life. And just the things that God spoke to you.
Well, I was, really looking for help. I mean, any kind of help. One afternoon, I had a ride with a pastor. We just went for a drive. And he began to share, I shared with him, what I was going through. And he says, Bob, he says, I've never heard a story like this. He says, I've never had to counsel anyone like this. He says, but, in my marriage, I've experienced an emotional affair and how devastating it was to us. He says, I've resolved within myself that we'll never have that perfect 10 out of 10 marriage. And then he said this to me, and I was really surprised. He says, if you choose, Bob, to remain in this marriage, you're going to have to resolve within yourself that you'll never have that perfect 10 out of 10 marriage. Now it's been violated. Now it's been tainted. And he says, if you remain, he says, then you're going to have to, be all right with it. Maybe being a 7, maybe on a good day an 8. I remember that conversation so well. And I said, no. I mean, to my heart, I said, no. I didn't get married just to exist or just to get by. But, if there's a God who's a redeemer, can he redeem my life? Can he redeem my marriage? And I said, I don't want to exist. I want it all. I don't want to just get by. I want it all. One morning with my pastor, and I can count on my hands, probably just 2-3 times of an official counseling session, simply because my pastor, my counselor, did not want to create a codependent relationship. He refused to be my answer, but began to challenge me to discover this God in a whole new way that could heal and rescue my life. And so I needed to pursue him. But one morning we were together in his office, and he was getting all over my case. I mean, just giving me a hard time. Finally, I stopped him, and I said, Leo, stop. I said, why is it that whenever we're together, it seems as though you're always picking on me when it's obvious she's the one with the problem? Made sense to me, but boy, did he get angry. He just kind of rose up a bit and leaned across that desk and pointed his big finger in my face. And he said, Bob, what's done is done. But what I need to know is whether or not you will become the man of God that you need to be to keep your family together. Bob, the rest is up to you. I mean, these are challenging statements, that were not speaking sympathy to me, but rather challenging me to grow up. He also was aware of my fear, of my limited capacity for love. And I remember one morning we had a quick coffee, and I was continually asking, what am I going to do with this baby? I don't know if I can, love this baby as my own. And that morning he challenged me and he said, Bob, there's a baby on your doorstep. What do you do? Will you participate with this fatherless generation, or will you become a father to the fatherless? Bob, you've got to grow up.
I think of those things, and I just think of how when men call men higher, women just are so grateful to God because there's so much that we cannot do. And it's my temptation to do something, just to beg Bob for help. But it was the men that called you higher that make me so grateful that you were able to fight for our family.